The war started without warning. One moment, the colony skies over the red planet were calm, painted with twin suns and soft clouds. The next, they were filled with shadows, massive alien ships blocking out the light. People ran for shelter as alarms screamed across the human outpost. The world had never seen such ships before, huge, smooth, and alive with strange blue veins that pulsed like something breathing. Inside one of the shelters, a small girl named Lyra sat clutching a creature against her chest. It was small compared to the humans, thick-furred with dark eyes that burned like coals. Her father called it Badger, though most called it a monster. It wasn't really a honey badger anymore. It was smarter, faster, bred for survival on alien worlds. But to Lyra, it was her best friend. Outside, chaos spread. The alien soldiers, tall, silver-skinned, armored in living metal, marched through fire and smoke. Their leader, Commander Vorsk, had studied humans for years. Primitive mammals, he called them. Soft hearts, weaker bones, smaller brains. His mission was simple: take the planet, break resistance, enslave survivors. But humans had a bad habit. They didn't die quietly. The colony's defense turrets came alive, firing red beams into the sky. Alien drones fell like burning rain. The ground trembled as explosions painted the horizon. Amid that thunder, Lyra's father shouted orders to soldiers, trying to hold the main gate. He turned once to his daughter and yelled, "Stay hidden! Don't move until I come back!" But Lyra never liked waiting. Badger growled low, sensing the enemy before humans did. Its fur bristled, claws scraping the metal floor. The creature's instincts were sharp. It smelled fear, smoke, and blood. It wanted to protect her. And it would. The aliens broke through the defense line faster than expected. Their energy cannons tore walls apart like paper. The shelter door shook under impact. Lyra could hear screams outside, human and alien both. Then silence. Heavy footsteps approached. She held Badger tighter. The creature rumbled like a storm. The door exploded inward. 3 alien soldiers entered, glowing rifles aimed forward. They spoke in their hissing language. One bent down, scanning, with a blue beam that swept over Lyra's trembling form. The alien laughed, a cold, clicking sound, and reached for her. That's when Badger moved. It launched forward faster than sight, teeth flashing white in the smoke. The first alien's throat vanished in a blur of claws. The second raised his weapon but didn't fire in time. The creature slammed into his chest, armor cracking, and the alien screamed. The third tried to run, but Badger's roar froze him mid-step, a deep, guttural sound no machine could record, no predator could imitate. Lyra crawled back, terrified but amazed. She had never seen Badger like this, wild, unstoppable, like something ancient had awakened inside him. He wasn't just defending her. He was hunting. Outside, more aliens heard the chaos and rushed in. The small room turned into a storm of violence. Plasma bolts cut through walls, but Badger moved between flashes, tearing through metal and flesh. The air filled with smoke, blood, and the sound of breaking bones. When it was finally quiet again, only the child and her creature stood alive. The girl's eyes were wide, tears streaking her dusty face. She whispered, "Good boy!" And Badger turned toward her, muzzle dripping, eyes calm now, protective. But the silence didn't last. Outside, massive engines roared again. A shadow fell over the building, and a deep voice echoed through alien transmitters. "Bring the human child alive. The beast is to be captured." Lyra looked up through the broken ceiling. The largest alien dropship was descending, flanked by dozens of drones. She could see reflections of herself and Badger in their cold metallic eyes. Badger growled again, standing between her and the open sky. The creature's fur shimmered under the red light. It was ready. It didn't care about the odds. That day, something changed in the galaxy. The aliens didn't know it yet, but this was the day they would finally understand fear, and it would come from a human child and her honey badger. The air outside was burning. The ground shook with every alien step. Lyra crouched behind a wrecked transport, the smoke stinging her eyes. She could still hear the dropship engines above, deep, vibrating hums that made her bones ache. Badger stood in front of her, its thick fur matted with dust and alien blood. Its eyes never stopped moving. Every sound, every flicker of light, it tracked with silent focus. Lyra's father was gone. The colony was gone. All she had left was this beast, and the strange courage that came when it stood beside her. She whispered, "We have to move." Badger turned its head slightly, as if it understood. It started walking first, claws crunching the dirt, nose raised toward the wind. Lyra followed close, her small hands gripping the plasma pistol she had taken from a fallen alien. The weapon felt heavy, almost too big for her, but she held it anyway. Above them, alien drones scouted, their blue light sweeping the ground. One beam slid dangerously close to Lyra's foot. Badger stopped. Then, with sudden speed, it leapt into the air. Its claws ripped through the drone like tearing fabric, sparks raining down. The machine crashed beside them. "Quiet!" Lyra hissed. But it was too late. The noise drew attention. Voices in the alien tongue echoed through the smoke. Shapes moved on the ridge, 6 soldiers, tall and silver, weapons glowing. They had seen the girl. Badger growled deep in its chest. The soldiers opened fire. Bolts of energy hissed through the air, melting rock and sand. Lyra ran, stumbling over debris. Badger darted between blasts, grabbing one alien by the leg and slamming him into another. The ground lit with flashes of plasma and the scream of metal. When it ended, Lyra and Badger were both breathing hard. The ridge burned. Only silence followed, but something else came after. Something heavier. A deep vibration rolled through the sand. Lyra looked up to see a massive figure stepping out of the haze. Taller than any soldier, covered in dark armor that shimmered like liquid glass. Its 4 eyes glowed crimson. This was no ordinary alien trooper. This was Commander Vorsk himself. He carried a staff crackling with white energy. When he spoke, his voice shook the air. "You, small one. So this is the beast that killed my soldiers." Lyra froze. She didn't understand the words, but she understood his tone. Arrogant, certain. Badger stepped forward, fur bristling. Vorsk smiled. "You think it can save you?" He pressed a button on his staff. The ground exploded beneath Badger, sending dirt and flame into the air. The creature was thrown back, hitting the rocks hard. "Badger!" Lyra screamed. She ran toward it, but Vorsk's energy field stopped her mid-step. Invisible force wrapped around her, lifting her off the ground. She struggled, kicking and shouting, but it was useless. "You will come with me," Vorsk said, raising his staff. "Your people will learn obedience. Your creature will be mine." Badger lay still for a moment, smoke rising from its fur. Then its claws twitched. Its eyes opened again, burning brighter than before. Vorsk turned just as Badger roared. The sound split the air like thunder. The alien commander stepped back, surprised. The beast moved faster than he could follow, slamming into his energy shield with such force that cracks appeared in the glowing field. Lyra dropped from the energy grip, rolling onto the ground. She saw the impossible, her Badger, small compared to that alien giant, tearing through the shield that no human weapon could break. Sparks flew, dust swirled, and the beast let out another earth-shaking roar. The alien commander staggered back, his staff flickering. He swung it down, striking the ground. A wave of force rippled outward, throwing Badger into the air again. Lyra grabbed the fallen plasma pistol and fired blindly, shouting. Blue light hit Vorsk's armor. It didn't pierce, but it made him turn. For the first time, anger showed in his face. "You dare!" He raised his staff toward her, and then the Badger landed on his back. It ripped through the cables running along his armor, teeth tearing into glowing conduits. Vorsk howled, his 4 eyes flashing in pain. He reached back to grab it, but the creature ducked and bit deeper, pulling free a chunk of armor the size of a plate. Sparks poured out like fireflies. Vorsk fell to one knee. The beast jumped down, snarling, ready for another strike. "Lyra!" A voice shouted from behind, the distant sound of human soldiers. Survivors. Her father's unit still alive. The aliens turned toward the noise. Vorsk looked up in rage, roaring orders. Lyra didn't wait. She ran to Badger, threw her arms around it, and together they sprinted toward the burning horizon. Behind them, the sky erupted in chaos again, drones firing, humans returning fire, and Commander Vorsk swearing vengeance. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of the wastelands, where red cliffs rose high and wind howled through the canyons. Lyra fell to her knees, gasping for air. Badger stood beside her, bleeding but unbroken. She looked up at the distant fire and whispered, "They'll come after us." Badger gave a low growl that almost sounded like agreement. She smiled weakly. "Then we'll make them afraid." The creature tilted its head, eyes glowing in the twilight. The sun set behind them, painting the cliffs in gold and crimson. Far away, alien sensors scanned the ground, searching for one small human child and the beast that had humiliated their commander. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but fear had learned a new name, and it wasn't human or alien. It was both. Days passed since the battle. The red wastelands stretched endlessly around Lyra and Badger. The girl had wrapped her small hands in torn cloth, carrying a pack she found among the wrecks. Her clothes were scorched, her face marked with ash. Still, she kept walking. The honey badger padded beside her, silent, alert, unbreakable. They had become ghosts on that planet. The aliens searched the ruins, but they never found her. Their scanners detected movement, heat, and noise, but nothing human. Every patrol that went out either vanished or came back half dead, whispering about the beast that moved in the dark. Some said it was a monster from Earth's ancient wilds. Others said it wasn't an animal at all. It was the spirit of war itself. One night, at an alien forward base, a squad of soldiers sat by their glowing blue fire. They spoke in low voices, armor reflecting the flames. "Did you hear about the unit from Sector 7? One asked. "They're gone," another replied. "The whole patrol." Their cameras went dark. The last image showed small footprints. "And something with claws," a third soldier hissed nervously. "The commander says it's superstition. He says no beast can kill armored soldiers." The first one leaned closer. "Then why is every patrol vanishing?" Before anyone could answer, the alarm siren wailed. Something had tripped their perimeter sensors. The fire died as they raised their weapons. The desert wind howled outside their camp. They saw movement in the dust, just a small figure half hidden in the red haze. "A child, their commander ordered them forward." "Capture the human. Bring it alive." The soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. The air was still. Then the sand moved behind them. A roar echoed across the canyon, deep and wild. The last thing they saw were two glowing eyes rushing toward them through the storm. By dawn, the camp was silent. The blue fire still burned, but no alien remained to feed it. Far from the wreckage, Lyra sat beneath a rock ledge, cooking a small ration pack over a weak flame. Badger lay next to her, fur shining faintly in the dawn light. Its wounds were healing fast, faster than any normal creature could. Lyra whispered, "They'll come again." Badger lifted its head, eyes fixed on the horizon. It made a low growl, soft but full of warning. She sighed. "We can't keep running forever." For a moment, there was silence between them. The wind carried the faint smell of metal and smoke. Lyra's stomach tightened. She missed her father. She missed the sound of laughter, the colony lights at night. But that world was gone. She looked at Badger. "You're all I have now." The creature leaned closer, brushing against her shoulder. She smiled weakly. Meanwhile, far above the planet, Commander Vorsk stood inside his flagship. His armor had been repaired, but the deep scars from Badger's claws still glowed faintly beneath the metal. His pride burned hotter than the pain. Reports scrolled before him. Patrols lost, supply lines broken, drones destroyed. Each time the same image appeared, small tracks beside claw marks. "Enough," Vorsk growled. "Deploy hunters. I want that child alive. I want the beast's head. The officers saluted and left, but even they avoided his eyes. The story had spread too far. Across every alien ship, whispers grew. Soldiers talked of a human child who commanded a creature that could break shields and crush steel. Fear, once forgotten, had returned. That night, lightning flashed across the desert sky. The storm came without warning, violent, electric, alive. Lyra sheltered beneath the rocks as thunder rolled through the canyons. Badger stood outside, facing the storm, fur soaked and glowing under flashes of light. In the distance, alien drones searched the cliffs. Blue beams of light swept across the ground. Lyra felt her heart pound. "They found us," she whispered. Badger gave a rumbling growl. It didn't back away. Instead, it moved forward, claws digging into the wet sand. The first drone spotted them. A beam of energy fired, exploding beside the rocks. Lyra fell backward, coughing through smoke. Badger launched upward, slamming into the drone midair. The machine shattered in two. Then came more, 3, 5, 10 of them, circling like vultures. Blue light filled the night sky. Badger roared and tore through one after another, claws sparking as it ripped metal apart. Lyra aimed her plasma pistol and fired at the nearest drone, hitting it dead center. The machine spun out of control and crashed beside her. She felt the heat of the blast, but didn't stop firing. By the time the storm cleared, the sky was empty again. Smoke drifted upward. The desert was littered with alien wreckage. Badger limped back toward her, its fur glowing faintly from heat and plasma burns. It lowered itself beside her, breathing heavy. Lyra wiped the soot from its face. "You did it again," she whispered. "You scared them." In the distance, alien communication signals flickered with panic. Vorsk's soldiers were reporting the impossible. A child and her beast had destroyed an entire squadron of drones without help, without armor, without mercy. Lyra looked out over the wasteland. The rising suns painted the sand gold. "They'll keep coming," she murmured. "So we'll keep fighting." Badger let out a quiet rumble, half growl, half purr. And as dawn broke, the legend of the human child and her honey badger began spreading beyond the battlefield. On human channels, survivors began to whisper the same story the aliens feared. The girl and the beast are still alive. Weeks passed since the storm. Across the Red Planet, rumors grew like wildfire. Soldiers who had once mocked humans now refused to patrol alone at night. They whispered that something moved through the wastelands, a shadow with glowing eyes, always followed by smaller footprints. Some said it was a weapon. Others swore it was death itself. In human camps, hidden deep under the canyon walls, soldiers played back intercepted alien radio messages. Each one carried the same frightened tone. "Unit 5, lost contact. Beast sighted. It moved faster than scanners could read. The human child, she commands it." Captain Rin, leader of one surviving human squad, listened in silence. His men waited. When the recording ended, he looked at his second-in-command. "Find them," he said quietly. "The girl and her creature." The others exchanged uncertain glances. "You believe that story, sir?" one asked. Rin's jaw tightened. "I've seen alien fear before, but never like this." Lyra didn't know she had become a legend. She was busy surviving. Every morning, she and Badger searched the ruins for food. Every night, they found new hiding places. Her clothes hung loose, her face thin, but her eyes burned with the same fire. The honey badger never left her side. One afternoon, as she collected old ration tins, a faint human voice echoed through the canyon. "Hello, is anyone there?" She froze. Badger growled low. "Don't move," she whispered. The voice came again, closer this time. "We're human. We're not enemies." From behind the rocks, 3 figures appeared, humans in dusty armor carrying rifles marked with the old Earth insignia. Lyra stepped out slowly, weapon in hand. "Who are you?" she demanded. The oldest soldier lowered his rifle. "Captain Rin, we've been looking for you, kid." Badger bared its teeth, ready to attack, but Lyra raised her hand. "How do you know my name?" Rin smiled faintly. "Because you're all the aliens talk about." He looked at the beast beside her. "And that thing? They say it's the reason their commanders don't sleep anymore." Lyra blinked. "They're afraid?" "Afraid enough to make mistakes," he said. "You and that creature, whatever it is, you've done more damage than our whole army." She looked at Badger. The creature tilted its head, sniffing the strangers. For the first time it didn't growl. Rin stepped closer. "We're building a resistance, child. We could use you both." Lyra hesitated. She wanted to trust him, but the memory of her father's death burned behind her eyes. Still, she nodded. "Then let's make them remember us." For the first time since the invasion, humans began to fight back with strategy instead of desperation. Lyra showed them how to move through the wastelands unseen, how to use alien patrol routes against them, how to attack and vanish like ghosts, and Badger became their weapon. When alien troops marched through the canyons, they didn't hear anything until it was too late. The beast struck like lightning, fast, brutal, impossible to predict. It tore through their lines, vanished into smoke, and left symbols burned into the dirt, the mark of a claw beside a small human footprint. The aliens tried to hide the truth, but panic spread faster than their lies. Every broadcast, every message carried new stories. The human child is coming. The beast hunts at night. Fear the small and the fearless. Even Commander Vorsk could not silence the rumors. He stood before a wall of hollow screens in his ship, each showing different attacks. Drones destroyed, convoys missing, soldiers deserting. He slammed his clawed fist against the table. "They are turning fear into a weapon," he hissed. An aide stepped forward nervously. "Commander, what shall we do?" "Burn the desert," Vorsk growled. "If we cannot kill them, we erase the ground they walk on." The next night, fire rained from the sky. The aliens bombarded every canyon, every ridge, every possible hiding spot. The earth itself screamed. Human soldiers ran for cover as plasma beams sliced through rock and sand. Lyra and Badger barely made it out alive. They hid beneath a collapsed tunnel as the world above turned to fire. Dust filled the air. Lyra coughed, pressing close to Badger's fur. When the bombing stopped, silence fell. The sky was black. The stars were gone behind smoke. Lyra crawled out first. The once red desert was now gray and dead. Her eyes filled with tears. "They're destroying everything," she whispered. Badger sniffed the air. Its fur bristled. In the distance, movement. Alien dropships landing. Troops spreading out, searching the wreckage. Lyra looked at her beast. "We can't hide anymore." She stood up, gripping the plasma pistol. "If they want fear, we'll give them more than that," Badger growled, low and eager. The girl climbed the nearest ridge, the wind whipping her hair, her small form outlined by firelight. She looked down at the alien soldiers marching through the valley below. Then she shouted. Her voice echoed across the wasteland. "You came to conquer us, but you'll leave in fear." The aliens turned, startled by the sound. Badger leapt from the ridge like a shadow of vengeance. The soldiers opened fire, but it moved too fast, a blur of claws and fury. Lyra fired from above, her blasts cutting through their armor. The night became chaos again, roars, screams, and fire everywhere. By dawn, the aliens were gone. Only the sand remained, stained dark under the morning light. Lyra sat beside Badger, who lay breathing heavily, blood on its claws, but eyes still bright. She placed a hand on its head. "You're not just my friend," she whispered. "Your hope." Far away, human radios came alive again, picking up her signal for the first time. Across the galaxy, one phrase spread faster than any order. "The child and the beast live." And for the first time since the invasion began, humanity dared to believe they could win. The war was changing. The aliens no longer marched with pride. They moved with caution. Every shadow, every gust of wind made them raise their weapons. The name Lyra had become a curse on their radios. The word Badger sent soldiers into silence. Across the galaxy, reports spread of a small girl and her beast crippling entire platoons. Human resistance forces began rising on other colonies, using her story as their call to arms. "If a child and an animal can fight," they said, "then so can we." But victory had its price. Commander Vorsk had grown quiet, and quiet was dangerous. He watched from his flagship, studying every encounter, every strike, every pattern. His mind was cold and calculating. "She fights to protect," he murmured to his lieutenants. "So we will make her choose between saving others or dying with them." In the wastelands, the human resistance was preparing its biggest move. Captain Rin stood beside Lyra on a cliff, staring at the alien fortress in the distance. Its walls glowed with blue energy. Ships hovered above it like watchful eyes. "This is their command outpost," Rin said. "We take this and they lose control of the entire sector." Lyra nodded. "They'll never expect us to attack here." Badger sniffed the wind, its claws digging into the sand. It growled softly. Rin smiled faintly. "Your friend doesn't seem impressed?" Lyra's face hardened. "He knows they're waiting." She was right. Deep inside the fortress, Vorsk was watching them through drones. "She's coming," he said quietly. "Let her." Night fell. The resistance moved in silence through the canyons. Lyra led the way, Badger at her side. The humans trusted her instincts more than their scanners. Every time the creature stopped, they stopped. Every time it moved, they followed. By midnight, they reached the outer wall. Rin raised a hand, signaling to plant charges. Lyra crouched beside Badger, whispering, "When it starts, stay close." The explosion came like thunder. The wall cracked open, flames shooting into the night. Human soldiers stormed through, firing as they advanced. The aliens fought back fiercely, plasma bolts cutting through the dust, explosions lighting up the sky. Lyra fired from behind cover, moving fast, shouting commands. Badger tore through enemies like a living storm, claws striking metal, armor, and bone. But something felt wrong. "Too easy, Captain," Lyra shouted. "They're not fighting to win, they're stalling." Rin looked up just as the ground trembled. Above them, the sky split open. A massive shadow fell across the battlefield. The alien flagship descended. From its belly, a column of light struck the ground, creating a shimmering dome of energy that surrounded the entire fortress. Every exit sealed shut. Vorsk's voice boomed through the comms. "You thought you could hide forever, human child. Now the galaxy will watch you die." Lyra's eyes widened. "He trapped us," Badger growled, circling her. The humans fired at the dome, but the energy barrier didn't even flicker. Vorsk stepped out of the light, massive and armored, his claws glowing with white plasma. His red eyes locked on the girl. "Do you know what your creature truly is?" he said, voice echoing. "It was ours once. A war beast grown in alien labs. You humans stole it." Lyra shook her head. "He's not yours." Vorsk's armor pulsed brighter. "He was made to kill. He will destroy you as easily as he did my soldiers." Badger snarled, fur rising. Its eyes glowed gold now, not alien, not human, something older, deeper. "Watch," Vorsk hissed. "Watch how fear turns on its master." He raised his weapon. A beam of energy struck Badger's chest. The creature roared, body arching in pain. Lyra screamed and ran forward, firing her pistol at Vorsk, but he didn't stop. "Your beast belongs to me," he shouted. Then Badger moved. Through the pain, through the smoke, it launched forward faster than Vorsk expected. It hit him like a meteor. The two crashed into the ground, sending dust flying. Badger clawed at his armor, tearing open glowing lines. Vorsk swung his claws, striking the creature again and again, but it didn't fall. Lyra tried to reach them, but alien soldiers surrounded her. She ducked behind cover, firing until her pistol overheated. Sparks flew around her. "Rin! Get the shield down!" she yelled. Rin shouted back, "Working on it!" His team planted explosives at the power core. The alien soldiers charged, but human rifles kept them back. Vorsk roared as Badger bit into his arm, metal crunching like bone. "You were built to serve," he screamed. "Why do you protect them?" The creature didn't answer. It only kept fighting. Lyra climbed the broken stairs to reach them. She was bleeding, coughing, but her eyes were fierce. "He protects me," she said, raising her pistol, "because we protect each other." She fired straight into the exposed joint of Vorsk's armor. The beam hit deep. Sparks erupted. The commander howled, staggering backward. Badger leapt again, knocking him into the heart of the fortress. At that same moment, Rin's charges exploded. The power core burst, and the energy dome shattered like glass. Vorsk fell to his knees, smoke pouring from his armor. "You think you've won?" he growled. "I am eternal." Lyra stepped closer, voice steady. then you'll die forever. Badger struck one final time. The impact shook the ground. When the smoke cleared, Vorsk was gone. Only a crater and shattered armor remained. The battlefield fell silent. As the dawn rose over the destroyed fortress, human soldiers stood among the ruins, exhausted but alive. Rin limped toward Lyra, resting a hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he said quietly. Lyra looked at Badger. The creature stood beside her, battered but unbroken. "We did it," she corrected softly. Rin nodded. "You've done more than win a battle. You've given us something the aliens can't kill. Hope." Above them, the first sunlight broke through the dust clouds. Lyra stared at the horizon, knowing it wasn't over. Somewhere out there, more ships would come. More wars would rise. But now, the galaxy knew one truth. Humans could not be broken. Smoke still hung over the wastelands days after the final battle. The alien fortress was nothing more than a black crater. Its towers melted into twisted glass. The air smelled of metal, fire, and victory. Lyra sat on a broken beam, legs pulled close, staring at the horizon. The twin suns were rising again, soft orange light touching the ruins. Badger lay beside her, eyes half closed, its breathing slow but steady. She reached out and rested a hand on its thick fur. "You did it," she whispered. The creature stirred, tail flicking slightly. Its wounds were healing, though faint scars glowed under its fur, marks of battle, of loyalty, of something beyond words. Down below, human soldiers moved among the wreckage, collecting what remained of alien tech. Captain Rin was there directing survivors, his uniform torn but his eyes alive. When he spotted Lyra, he climbed up the ridge slowly. "You should rest," he said. Lyra shook her head. "There's no time to rest. They'll come again." Rin looked at her quietly. "Maybe. But next time they'll think twice." He glanced at Badger. "Because they've learned what fear feels like." Far above the planet, alien fleets drifted in silence. Without Commander Vorsk, their unity shattered. Some ships fled the system. Others began broadcasting distress calls. The once unstoppable conquerors had turned cautious, frightened of the stories now spreading across the stars. The stories all spoke of one human child and her beast. They said she was death wrapped in innocence, that her creature had claws of fire and a heart that couldn't die, that even the machines whispered her name before shutting down. To the humans, she became something else, a symbol. The lost colony sent out signals across deep space. Lyra lives. The honey badger stands. And for the first time since the war began, the galaxy trembled at a human voice. That night, the resistance camp burned small fires. Soldiers laughed softly, told stories, cleaned their weapons. It was the sound of life returning. Lyra sat by one of the fires, sharpening a piece of metal into a blade. Badger rested nearby, watching her with calm eyes. Rin approached and sat across from her. "They're calling you the child of fear," he said with a faint smile. She frowned. "Fear isn't something I wanted to be." "No," Rin replied. "But you made it serve you. That's power." He looked into the flames. "We'll rebuild, Lyra, not just this planet." "All of them," she nodded slowly. "Then we start tomorrow." For a while, there was peace. The kind that feels fragile, like glass before it cools. At dawn, Lyra woke to silence. The fires had gone out. The world felt new again. She walked to the ridge and looked down at the valley, now quiet. Green dust swirling in the morning light. She could almost imagine what it looked like before the war. Badger padded beside her, fur shining in the sunlight. It stood taller now, stronger than ever, like the war had remade it too. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked softly. The creature made a low rumble, neither yes nor no. Lyra smiled faintly. "Then let them try." She looked out across the endless desert. The wind brushed her hair, and for a moment, she wasn't a soldier or a child. She was just human, a survivor in a galaxy that finally knew her kind could not be broken. Months later, far beyond that planet, in alien academies and military outposts, recruits were shown recordings of the battle. They studied the crater, the destroyed fortress, and the last signal from Commander Vorsk's ship, his final words before silence. "Beware the small ones. They teach the stars to fear, some laughed nervously. Others didn't sleep that night. Among humans, songs were written, stories told. Children whispered of the girl who fought with a creature born for war and turned it into her guardian. Pilots painted her symbol, a small handprint beside a claw mark, on the sides of their ships before battle. Everywhere her legend went, the same message followed. Fear isn't our enemy, it's theirs now. Years later, when peace finally came, Lyra stood again on that same ridge where it had all begun. She was taller, her face older, but her eyes still carried that same fierce spark. Beside her stood Badger, gray now in patches but still proud. She watched the new city rise below, the first human colony rebuilt after the war. Children laughed in the streets. Ships flew overhead. The galaxy had begun to heal. Rin's voice came from behind her. Hard to believe it's over. Nothing's ever over, she said quietly. But we're ready this time, he smiled. You know, they still tell stories about you. Lyra chuckled softly. Let them. Maybe it'll keep the next invader awake at night. Badger gave a soft growl, as if agreeing. The sun set over the horizon, painting the sky gold and crimson, the same colors as the day she first saw fear in alien eyes. And as darkness fell, one small human and her beast stood side by side, watching the stars that once belonged to their enemies now shining free again. That day marked the end of a war and the beginning of a legend that would never die. Because when the galaxy met humanity and the honey badger stood with them, fear finally changed sides. End of story.